everyone, Catherine here from Inky Finger Cat. I have been dying to get started on this series for ages, but I really wanted to get the Crafter's Companion magazine kit finished before I started. I've not got there, but I've just run out of patience now, so I'm going to get started on this Indigo Blue one. So this is going to be a series pretty much like the Crafter's Companion one. I'll pop them all in a playlist. I'll just keep coming back to this kit of supplies, and every time I do, I'll film a video and see what I get up to making with this one. Let's have a quick look. This will obviously be a slightly longer video. I will make a project today, but if I'm clever, I might remember to put a little timestamp on to fast forward if you're not interested in the flip through of the magazine stuff as to when I actually start creating. If not, just stick me in fast forward if you're not interested. Okay, so let's start with the stamp set. I love it, absolutely love it. First of all, sunflowers are my favourites. I just love sunflowers. Oh, that's just reminded me I've got a sunflower die I've never used. Sorry, digressed. Putting that on a mental to-do list is to use a sunflower die at some point soon. But yeah, I love sunflowers. I think they're beautiful. Really liking the fact that these are like almost like they're not botanical drawings, but they've got like the little label of what the actual flower is, and they're all like wildflower type things: milk thistle, clover, valerian and lavender. Beautiful. And who doesn't love a bit of lavender? And then, as I said, butterflies. Oh, there's a dragonfly type. Might be a damselfly rather than a dragonfly. Does anybody know the difference? I can't tell you what the difference is because I can't remember. But love the butterfly, but I love this one. It's got kind of like text and splatter around it, so proper mixed media-y type, bit of grunge. There is splatter. There's then this fabulous collage element with all of the floral elements in, and some dragonflies and butterflies, so that would be fabulous to do as part of the backgrounds. Some paintbrushes, they're always fun. And then you've got a few squiggles. Some of them have got like text in them. So this has got, Catherine, put your glasses on so you can read. Art, imagine, painting, visual, aesthetic, I think are the words that are meant to be in there, but they've gone kind of like off the page. This one says painting, creativity, expression of emotion, art is visual. So very artsy type things. You've then got some really fun different sentiments. So throw kindness around like confetti. What a beautiful idea. What a beautiful idea. If only we were all kind all the time. That would be great, wouldn't it? Walk gently, breathe deeply, laugh freely. Art is the only way to run away without leaving home. Isn't that fabulous? I mean, I would class literature, so reading and stuff, is another way to run away without leaving home. Every day holds the possibility of a miracle. Kindness matters, so that goes with that. And then this one, I think I'm going to take as a little personal mantra to myself, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I'm actually less of a perfectionist when it comes to my artwork and my crafting than the rest of my life. I don't tend to beat myself up about my artwork so much. But I am not very good if I am not perfect in things. My brain does not cope very well with that. And then that like kind of scrolly motif. That beautiful embossed, wouldn't it, in gold or something. Okay, so loads of great stamps. The dies are a little bit odd. They totally don't cut anything out that's on there. So they are standalone dies. So we have like a flask, like a scientific flask, botanic, yeah, the kind of flask that you'd get in a science lab. This would, I'm assuming, cut the liquid out to sit on the bottom of the flask, which is quite cool. We've then got an outline kind of flower, another outline flower, and an outline leaf. So they look like fun. They're fun additions. Off the top of my head, I'm like, what would I use the little flask for? I just don't know, but you never know. I'll find something to use it for. Okay, stencil is a lovely texty stencil that I'm sure it says something upon inch, something of snow. These new there are some words that you can kind of distinguish, and there's other ones that I can't distinguish, so that's cool. Great for adding in texture or just a bit of pattern to the background. I'm already sensing a masterboard project coming on, not today, but a masterboard project using this. So if you don't know what that is, you'll have to keep watching my channel. So actually, it's a good point to stop and say, please subscribe. Okay, the papers. It clearly comes from the magazine, but in the middle of the magazine is the papers, and I've obviously taken them out when I did a share of this previously. Usually in these sorts of kits, you end up with 2 of each page. So we have, yeah, that looks like, so there's half of it is then repeated. Now I will say print quality, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but we've got a slightly different colour. I think the black is not as black on that one, it's more a brown colour. So actually not a perfect duplication on that particular one, but you know what, that's absolutely fine. So we've got a page with some cut apart pieces. So you've got some sentiments, some focal feature. I mean, that's a really big bird image. That's really, really beautiful. Love the bee. I love the wings too. I'm not sure I'm a wing person. She made broken look beautiful and strong look invincible. She walked with the universe on her shoulders and made it look like a pair of wings. I've got a friend in my life who that probably is perfect for. Plant seeds of happiness, hope, success and love. You never know how strong you are until strong is the only choice you have. Again, that same person is coming to mind. Never mind searching for who you are, search for the person you aspire to be. Oh, I like that. That speaks to me. Another full page of quotes, sentiments. I'm not going to read them all out. Another focal feature of a butterfly. That echoes the stamp that's got the heart. There you go. Very similar, just a different dimension to it. That is the same-ish. No, it's a different butterfly from the one that's on that collage stamp. And then we've got beautiful colours in this paper. So fabulous purple colours. Oh, I love that. Looks like it's been sort of like emboss resist kind of thing, or a wax resist or something. And then you've got this colour stain that's kind of come in. You can tell it's very artsy. The pinks and the purples. There's that bird that was on the front. Beautiful. Gorgeous big butterflies. So there's some really good different size pieces as well. There's sort of different, so if you think of a card, for example, which would be probably that sort of size, so that's quite an interesting. But then this sort of size, it's going to have quite large words on it, so there's different dimensions we can play with. Love that. Love. Look at that splatter and the rose, and then a pink one with those bees and the dragonflies and all the different what is it, critters, is that the word that we use in America, I think? I mean, that's just gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Loving the colours. I mean, what a beautiful set of greens that go really well with, what's that favourite ink of mine? So in the Stampin' Up, it was that Parakeet Party. Look at that, that'd go great. And what was it in the Distress Inks? There was a Distress Ink that I absolutely love, and I can't remember the name of it. Why is it not? Oh, Twisted Citron. There it is. It's on the top, but on the second layer. Look at that. And then with a really nice other green in there. I don't think I've got a green that's that perfect green, but there you go. Purples, and then here we are at the halfway point, so it'll only repeat after now, but I love that with the pinks and the blues. And even though it's got quite large words and all the rest of it, I can still anticipate using these for cards, because these are very much background type papers. Yeah, loads of options with that. And then finally, of course, Most people will probably start with this, but it is the magazine that's got all your inspiration in. Now, you'll know if you followed my last series, I don't really look through the magazines so much because I like to come up with my own ideas. But you can see here plenty of bits and pieces. So actually I am quite interested in looking at how they used the flask. That's probably something that I might struggle with. So I might come back and do that. But it's only usually once I've had a good few goes with the kit that I'll then start looking at the magazine. In fact, I still rarely looked at the magazine. Oh, and that's like a completely different set of stuff. But yeah, it's only when I'm sort of starting to struggle with ideas, that's when I'll sort of then look at, right, well, how have other people used it? Is there anything in here that inspires me to go and do something? So, as I say, the one that I'm probably going to struggle with most is the flask. I'm still not loving it, guys. Still not loving it. I shouldn't call you guys. My mum hates it when people call her a guy. Felt very weird. Anyway, I'm not, as I say, going to look through in detail. Okay, so lots of lovely stuff in there. Now, what is going to be my first project, I wonder? So I'm going to have a little think, do a bit of planning. When I say planning, we all know I don't really plan. I just go and grab some supplies and just go start creating. But let's create something with this kit and let's start this series off with a bang. Hope you've enjoyed the little run through. So let's start with card number 1. So for this one, I decided I'd start fairly clean and simple, and then it sort of got less clean and simple as I went along, because that's what happens. I really like that lavender stamp, and well, I love lavender, so I was just like, no, I think that's going to be the first one, and I thought I might do a bit of watercolouring. As I was stamping it, which I had to stamp twice because my archival's a little bit dry and needs re-inking, I suddenly thought, you know, that splatter stamp, wonder if that'll work nicely. So I used the splatter stamp, sort of positioned it over the stems of the lavender, and then used a purple ink, I think it's Perfect Plum, which is not exactly lavender coloured, but you know what I mean. And then popped that on and stamped that a couple of times, and then used Mossy Meadow for the green for where the greenery was. And that gave a really nice sort of starting point for the base of the colour to make a kind of loose watercolour look. I then went in with a little bit of water on my brush. Now my brush has been used with some sort of sparkly element. So it is a bit shimmery, but you know, just adds to the project, doesn't it, when you get a little shimmery surprise. And yeah, I just used the inks and a little bit of water on my brush, and it's a very fine brush this, just to paint in a few of the areas of the green, and then again with the purple, just to finish it off really. And I love it. I think it looks great. I'm really pleased with it. So yeah, this is kind of at this point obviously clean and simple, but obviously with that sort of slightly artsy edge with the splatter being used. And whilst I'm doing this, I am thinking, right, what am I going to do next? How am I going to turn this into a card? And I think, do you know what? I'm just going to go straight with some of that purple paper, and I'm going to cut a bit of that off, and that's going to be my main background element. Again, sort of keeping things fairly simple, fairly straightforward here. And then I think, oh, it's covering too much of the background. And I also want to bring in some cardstock to do some mats and layers. So first thing I need to do is chop down that picture that I've created into a slightly different card topper element, and then I am just going to mat and layer that. Now the purple cardstock I'm using is from the everyday cardstock from Kingston Crafts. It's just I've only got a few bits and pieces of it left, so they're kind of in my A4 folder. Then I thought, oh, I've got that, the rainbow foiled cardstock also from Kingston. This is one that I've obviously cut into a little bit of it. I thought, oh, that'd be great. But, you know, specialty cardstocks cost money, so you kind of want to use them carefully if you can. I did contemplate using the pink side rather than the purple, but I changed my mind and went, no, keep it monochromatic. And then this is where I start to go, not so simple. As in, it isn't difficult what I'm doing. But you know, when you just kind of go, yeah, I went a bit mad here, didn't I? I just started adding loads of stuff to it. So I used the stencil to put a little bit more of that sort of text in the background. Then I went round the edge again with the purple ink. Oh, this is me carefully trying to clean the stencil so that I didn't lift any elements, because sometimes these sort of stencils, the magazine type things, they're not as robust as the ones that you would buy outright. So I have to be a bit careful with it. And then I thought, you know what would be really nice is some white splatter, because obviously it's quite a white little panel with my lavender on it. So I'm using that splatter stamp. I have given my panel quite a good going over with the embossing buddy to get rid of any static and to slightly pick up any damp ink, if you know what I mean, so that it wasn't going to stick it in too many places given I'd just inked it. And yeah, added white embossing powder. Most of this kind of gets covered with that topper element, and I also have to add in a little bit more on the end there, but I really love it. I love the texture it gives. I love the interest, the contrast between that darker purple. I just love it. Then I thought, right, okay, now I want to bring that lavender image in a little bit. So again, I'm just stamping bits of it in places with the purple ink. It's a background, it is still subtle, but at least there is that lavender, image in that background too. So now it's just about assembly and thinking about embellishment. So I started putting my foam pads on and then thought, oh, I could add some ribbon. And as I was having a little look in my ribbon buckets, I spotted this sort of Hessian type stuff that actually came wrapped around some potpourri that I bought. And you know, I don't like to waste anything, so I used that. I thought it looked really fab. I love that little element of the brown and the sort of natural kind of vibe being brought in. And then I thought, well, I want more white, so I at this point become very bow challenged, and I don't quite know what was going on here, but I really struggled with this white thread. It's like a cotton, quite thick thread. It's not thread that you would sew with. It's more of a twine type thing, but anyway, I struggled with it. I really struggled with it. In the end, cut some more, added that through and did a bow with the second piece instead. The first piece just becomes a knot and some dangles. And then I sort of fiddle around with the length of these dangles, and I and ah over them, and I snip a little bit more off one of them, I think. But yeah, I don't know what happened. I just went a bit mad and I really couldn't get that bow to tie. And we've always had this thing within our crafting group of friends, or group of crafting friends who happen to also craft. We have this thing of being bow challenged. People are bow challenged, and it's not normally me. But it was today, really struggled. Right, I'd adhered that on flat, and now I'm deciding on sentiment. And I just decided, rather than going for one of the artsy ones, which I do really like, I thought what I need to start doing is building up my stash of birthday cards again. I got rid of quite a few to the charity shop, and to be honest, I haven't been making huge amounts of birthday cards really for the last few months, because I've been concentrating on quite a lot of Christmas projects and I've been doing a lot of scrapbooking. So I thought, no, and I made quite a few thank you cards. So I thought, no, I'm going to make a birthday card. So I used that birthday sentiment and I just cut it up. I know it's kind of on a circular kind of design, but I decided, no, I would cut it up into strips and mount those on that mirror cardstock, the foiled cardstock that I had gutted from the centre of that background panel. And that I thought made a really nice sentiment that I'm going to add. I am going to add it over to the right hand side of the topper. So I'm using the foam just to lift it up so it's the same height as the topper. And that pretty much, oh no, some gems. I was going to say that's pretty much it done for the outside, but no, I do choose some gems. I really wanted sparkly gems, but I hadn't got any purple ones. I must have used them all up. So I'm using alcohol markers to try and get my gems to be more of the purple that I'd like to see. And this turned out to be quite tricky, so I had 3 different attempts at it, got there eventually, and then I've just added those to the bottom left hand side. Now, inside of the card, I am trying really hard to make sure that I do something with the insides of my cards that's a bit more special. Sometimes it'll just be stamping, sometimes it'll just be adding a little bit of paper or whatever, but I am trying my hardest to think of the inside of the card as well and not just do the outside. I think I sometimes can get a bit lazy and not do this. So I have a piece of the pattern paper. I have inked the edge of it so it's similar to the outside panel, and then on my white that I'm just adding here, this is just a paper, not a cardstock, I have just stamped that lavender image in the purple, and that I decide is enough to do the inside, and I think it looks really pretty. So I faff for a minute just tidying up, and then I think, no, it's time to go. So a quick wave, and here you go with the close-up photos. I think this is really cute, a lovely first project using the magazine kit. I love the purples, I absolutely love that lavender stamp, I think it's so sweet. And I love that I went a little bit grungy in the background with the embossing, and then I do love that little Hessian dupe type ribbon. So all that remains for me to say is please subscribe to see future videos. There'll obviously be a playlist using this magazine kit, and we'll see how many projects I managed to make from it. I hope you enjoyed. Please do give me a little like and a little comment if you did. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, bye bye.